Those radiant, beaming smiles had been concealed for far too long, finally bursting forth to illuminate the atmosphere with unbridled joy. Diem was ecstatic upon hearing the welcome news about Toan's whereabouts. Her excitement, overflowing and infectious. In that instant, the weight of the heartaches and hardships she'd endured in recent weeks had been entirely lifted, swept away by the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Her anticipation was almost unbearable, and she could hardly wait for the next day to arrive. Her heart swelling with excitement and hope. Sending warm hugs and best wishes to everyone. May the remaining days of this year be filled with joy, love, and all the things that bring you happiness. Finally, the police authorities have an update on Toan's case, bringing a wave of relief and excitement to those anxiously awaiting news. Mr. Tu's former comrade contacted him, informing him that they have located Toan and instructed him to meet them the following day with Diem. The news was met with overwhelming joy, and Mr. Tu, beaming with happiness, immediately shared the update with Diem, who had just returned home from a fruitless trip to the place where she and Fan had previously found Toan. Diem's eyes sparkled with renewed hope as she listened to Mr. Tu's account. Her excitement was evident, and she couldn't help but share in Mr. Tu's infectious enthusiasm. The two were thrilled at the prospect of their upcoming journey. And Mr. Tu, like a big brother, reminded Diem to get a good rest and be prepared for the long trip ahead. However, Diem's elation had left her feeling restless, and she confided in Mr. Tu that she might not be able to sleep, her mind racing with thoughts of being reunited with Toan. She could only think of hastening the time for tomorrow to arrive, eager to embark on the journey that would lead her to him. But will Toan run away again like a scaredy-cat when he sees them? Or will he finally come to his senses and confront the truth about his identity and past? Earlier that day, Diem had returned to the place where she and Fan had found Toan, determined to catch another glimpse of him. This time, however, her emotions were more subdued, her approach more calculated. Given the way their previous encounter ended, she decided not to approach him if she saw him again, opting instead to follow him and learn more about his movements and whereabouts. She waited for hours, her patience wearing thin as the sun beat down on her. But Toan never showed, and she eventually gave up and headed home, holding on to the hope of another chance meeting. Unbeknownst to Diem, Toan had spotted her from a distance, his eyes locking onto her figure as she sat quietly on the grassland, lost in thought. For reasons that made no sense, even to himself, he'd hidden again, avoiding contact with her. He watched as she waited patiently, as she looked around with a mix of hope and worry, and as she'd finally given up and left, her shoulders slightly slumped in disappointment. It was a pattern that was growing tiresome, and one that was starting to frustrate even himself. He'd had all the opportunities to confront Diem and learn more about himself, but he'd chosen to hide instead, like a child hiding behind a parent's leg. It was a childish and cowardly thing to do, especially for someone of his physical stature and strength. He was a tall, imposing figure with broad shoulders and a rugged physique that spoke of a life of hard work and physical labor. But despite his intimidating appearance, he was acting like a scared rabbit, darting and weaving to avoid any kind of confrontation from a petite, harmless, gentle-looking young woman who constantly appeared on his mind these recent days. And that was the crux of it. Flashes of memory had surfaced, snippets of happy moments with Diem, making his avoidance all the more inexplicable. Why was he running from someone who seemed to hold pieces of his past, someone he might have loved? Their previous encounter played on his mind. She'd hugged him, and he'd panicked, fleeing instead of asking questions. Now he was stuck in this cycle of avoidance, and it was getting him nowhere. The irony wasn't lost on him. He was running from the very people who could lead him to himself. The journey of Toan and Diem has been a tumultuous one, filled with countless near and close encounters that have only served to heighten the emotional stakes. The failed reunion that devolved into a game of hide-and-seek has left many questions unanswered. But honestly, the anticipation has been building for so long that it's starting to wear thin on viewers. The constant near misses and hide-and-seek games between them have left many feeling frustrated and irate. The slow pace of the story has led to speculation that the director and writers are deliberately stringing the audience along, prioritizing drama and suspense over meaningful plot progression. Will they finally have a moment to sit down and talk, to unravel the tangled threads of Toan's past and uncover the truth about his amnesia? About who is responsible for the harm that befell him and what triggered his loss of memory? Will he finally regain his memories? Or will they remain forever shrouded in mystery? Given the emotional investment in the characters, it's understandable that viewers are eager for resolution. Diem's determination and resilience deserve some payoff. And it is clear that she will stop at nothing to help Toan uncover the truth about his past. But if the story doesn't pick up pace and provide some answers soon, it risks alienating its audience and undermining the impact of the narrative. The stakes are high, and the tension is palpable. But some viewers are wondering if it's all worth the wait. Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The road ahead will be fraught with challenges and obstacles, and the outcome is far from certain. The story is far from over, and the twists and turns that lie ahead will only add to the complexity and intrigue of this topsy-turvy narrative. If you can stick around long enough to see it through. Share your thoughts. Feel free to leave your comments below with your theories and predictions.